I think I'm gonna stay in this chair from now on. I really like the setting. Hi, and welcome to Book Talk with Lainey, because I talk about books, and I'm Lainey. Now, I've mentioned this a few times on my TikTok, on here. I have both ADHD and autism. I'm diagnosed with both. I have a few. AuDHD is autism and ADHD. I have a few friends that are either autistic or have ADHD or have both. Do ask sometimes. They tell me that they have some issues with getting into reading, or in general starting to read. That I share my tips and tricks for AuDHD people who want to start reading, or want to read, or are already reading but are struggling with it. Now, before we start doing this, these are very specific things that are things that help me. You don't have to be autistic or have ADHD to use these tricks. If these work for you as well, that's great. But these are very specific things that do work for me, and doesn't mean that it will apply to every person with autism, with every person who has ADHD. It's a very broad spectrum on both sides. There are maybe things that work for me that will not work for you. There are maybe things that will work for both of us, maybe things that will absolutely not work. These are just things that really helped me, and I want to share them, and if you want to try them out, view on things that maybe can help you. And like I said, you don't need ADHD or autism if you have struggles with these certain things, and you can use these tips if you're neurotypical or a different type of neurodivergent. Now we got this out in the clear. We again have my Jamie Bauer t-shirt. I am currently living in this. Also, can you tell that I'm a little bit hungover? Let's go. Tips and tricks down on my phone that I use. So let's just get into them. The first thing is audiobooks are your best friend for multiple reasons. First of all, speed adjustment. A lot of people with ADHD have problems listening to something that is very, very slow, because everything in our brain seems like it's very, very slow, even though it's normal paced. For example, I use Audible, not sponsored, but Audible, if you want to sponsor me. I use Audible so many times. I've spent so much money on Audible. They have a great selection, right? And they have this speed adjustment. Adjust your speeding listening time. The normal speed sounds so fucking slow to me that I usually listen to probably 2.5 speeding. And that really helps me. It keeps me in focus. It keeps me occupied. It keeps going, and I pay attention. It's not slow, so I pay attention. So audiobooks are your best friend. Trust me on that. And it's also a good way to get out of a reading slump. It's also a great way of, if you want to do two things at the same time. A lot of the times I have a problem that I need to do multiple things, get my sensories, multiple sensories occupied. Like listening to an audiobook and drawing or doing something else on the side really helps me. I listen to a lot of audiobooks while classes, so try audiobooks. Multiple ways on multiple platforms for audiobooks. You can also listen to them maybe on Spotify or on YouTube. Just give them a try. Trust me, they will change your life. They certainly did for me. And also with audiobooks, great way to what is also great with audiobooks, if you've read a book and you just don't want, if you absolutely love that book, you don't want to say goodbye, but you just can't reread books like me, download the audiobook as well. Just listen to it again. It's like the comfort of watching your favorite TV show over and over again. What is also great with audiobooks is, instead of just reading or just listening, you can keep your physical book. It's what I do a lot of the times. I have a physical book and I listen to the audiobook and I just read with the audiobook, and I can still annotate inside. My next tip is genres and tropes. For people with ADHD, it's always important to keep us motivated, keep us alive and packed and like interested. Choose genre. First of all, find your preferable genre. Don't try to try to read something you are obviously not interested in. Find yourself your favorite genre. In my case, that is fantasy, which is great with fantasy, which brings me to my point. Choose a book that is action-filled. Choose a book that is fast-paced, because it will just not bore you. Something is always happening. Something will always keep you in touch. It's like you just don't want to stop because something is going to happen. Books that are really slow-paced you will lose your interest in it. So try to like really find a book that is action filled. And fantasy is the perfect genre for that, but also thriller or crime or mystery books. There are books that are really fast paced, something is always happening, and that will really capture your attention pretty much all the time. And also find a trope that you like. For me, example, it's enemies to lovers. It's my all-time favorite trope. Knowing what my favorite trope is, I know what kind of books I'm looking for. I know in that specific trope, I know what I like and what I don't like. So I know what to look for. Like with my autism, I have certain things that I absolutely despise in books, and I know I will never pick it up. It really helps me separate from knowing what I want and buying a book and then ending up not liking it and then putting me into a reading slump. Find your preferred trope. And then you know what you're looking for. And then there's this huge selection of books you can read. It really makes yourself feel comfortable. Book series. What really helped me is, I do love a good standalone, you know? But I usually have the problem that I hate saying goodbye to characters. A good tip for that is read books in a series, because you have some time to get comfortable with the characters, you get to know the characters, you have your time to like learn about the world building. You have to like find your comfort zone. If you want to read a trilogy, you get to know the characters, you get to know the world building, and something is happening, but it's not taking too much time. For example, also ACOTAR. ACOTAR is also, like, it has 5 books, you're gonna learn about the characters, the world building, it really captures you and you don't have to say goodbye too fast. But for example, the Shadowhunter series is very, very long, but you know what I mean? Try books in a series so you get comfortable with the characters and you get really adjusted to the characters, and if that makes sense. Because standalones, you will have to say goodbye to the characters really, really fast, and then you're just like kind of stuck on those books. What is also great, start with small books. Small books are usually, if they're really short, really action-filled. You will just get into the reading, like the fun of reading. If you start with a huge-ass book, you're not going to be interested. You're just tired after that. If you start with small books, middle-page books, you know what I mean? Just like small books to read here and there. It's also a great way to get out of reading slump. Just read small little books, like novellas or something. It will really help you to get out of this slump. It will give you the push. Like, these are the type of books, you know? Now, classics are probably not for you. Definitely not for me. But it's probably like, they're just boring. ADHD, they're probably way too boring. And like, maybe don't read classics at the moment if you really try to get into reading. Maybe that's just a me thing. Go out to read. And I'm not saying to a coffee shop or God knows where. For example, I hate reading at home. I can always do something, you know, I'm always going to get distracted. Where I do my best reading is on my commute on a train. I'm not saying go on a train and just ride along. And if you find a spot, if that's in a park, on a bench, on a lake, maybe in your garden, on your front porch. I love reading on my balcony. Find yourself a little place that is not in your bedroom or in your house. You will get less distracted and you have something to do. And it will also take your way of, oh, to get back in bed, I have to stand up. Flow your process of, oh, I went outside to read, and it will distract you back to go reading. You know what I mean? For both ADHD and autism, try books that are character driven. Try to pay attention to the character descriptions. It sounds really weird, but the moment that you are in your head, you know what the character's about, you will build up your own version of the book. And that brings me to my next point. While reading, look up fan art. Try to you know, not get spoiled, but it's also great to help yourself imagining this stuff. You can also go on Pinterest and like imagine what they're wearing. Like, make your book your own adventure. Try and go and find some reviews and think what other people think, and then you really get in touch with the book. What I usually do is I go on Pinterest, I find some fan art, so I can really imagine them. And then I look at the settings, and then I go onto reviews on TikTok. I just pay attention to things that they mentioned. You know what I mean? I just really get in touch with the book. DNF books. I'm very, very passionate about that. As a person with ADHD and autism, the moment you turn doing something into a task, you will not enjoy it. You will hate it. It will push you and into anti-reading. If you know you're not going to enjoy the book, drop the book. Put it back. Maybe you're going to pick it up later. Maybe you're going to pick it up in 10 years. It's fine. It's really fine. And if you really want to finish it, go listen to the audiobook. Trust me on that. Don't make you're just gonna hate it, and then you're gonna have a terrible experience, and your brain will pick it up as a terrible experience, and then you're just pushing yourself into something that you won't like. And like finding the perfect trope and finding the perfect book for you and finding the perfect way to read is kind of like finding a therapist. It will take some time, but it's totally worth it in the end. You're gonna hit some bumps, you're gonna hit some what the fuck moments, you're gonna think, what the fuck am I doing here? But it's worth it. Now, classics are probably not for you. Definitely not for me. But it's probably like, they're just boring. ADHD, they're probably way too boring. And like, maybe don't read classics at the moment if you really try to get into reading. Now, this is crazy. There's always like talking about if you're listening to music while reading or not. Personally, I used to be a person who used to like listen to music all the time. I still do. This is a very good point. Listen to music without lyrics. Now, for me personally, I love classical music. This is like probably the thing that I listen most to. I listen to classical music all day, every day, all the time. Because there's no text, it's really without like basses and without drops, and you know what I mean? It's really cool. You can also listen to techno or something really quiet in the background. It will also help you make the feeling more worth it. Like sometimes I've like when I read Fourth Wing, I listened to this one song, and now I imagine the fight scene, and it really helps you putting up into that, because as an autistic person, you will probably have issues, and like with ADHD, you're probably gonna get distracted by your surroundings, and having your headphones on with like without lyric music will really help you focus on that. But you have to find your own type of music. For me, it's definitely piano and violin classical music. But there's always like guitar or drums or something. You just have to find your own your own music. But that really helps me on focusing on the book and like blending out the entire. You can also put on your noise cancelling headphones. Try to like get yourself distracted from the background. This might sound a little weird, but bear with me. Try to record yourself while reading. That doesn't mean you have to post it. That doesn't mean you have to, like, maybe just record yourself in a time lapse. Now, I'm gonna explain why. That really helps me because it makes me sit. It makes me read. I made this series on my TikTok where I record myself reading, and it really helped me because it made my brain say, you have to sit here and read. Try it. Just try it. You don't have to post it. You don't have to actually record yourself. You know what I mean? Just fool your brain into thinking somebody's watching you read. You have to read. It sounds really weird, but trust me, it does work. Find books with your special interest in them. For example, one of my special interests is dragons. So you just know I pick up books with dragons in them. Special interest into a certain animal, and you want to pick up a book in that genre. Or you have you know what I mean? Something. Or maybe you like cars, so you try to pick up books with cars in them. Something. Try to really make your interest flow. Okay, I hope any of these made sense. If you want to try some of these, tell me in the comments, try them out, tag me if you make a video about them. Like I said, just because they work for me doesn't mean they will work for you, and not every person is the same. But I still hope I can help you a little bit to really stress myself because my camera is dying. If you like this video, give it a like, follow. If not, that's cool, we're chill. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Happy reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, give me some ideas if you want to see what you want to see me talking about. Anyway, love you! That was really stressed, but my camera is dying.